Well, this is not what I thought I was going to be kicking off today's episode with. We are moving stadiums and renting the Jeff Hurst Park in Brighton. That is because our own stadium is being expanded by 8,000 seats, but it's going to take a whole season to sort out. Now, despite the fact this stadium is based in Brighton, Brighton don't play in it. It's been a long-standing issue in Football Manager that if England, or indeed any nation, hosts a major international tournament, they build a load of stadiums named after legends of the national team, but then clubs don't end up using it. In this universe, we've ended up moving into the Jeff Hurst Park, which was vacant. It's 42,000 all-seater. In a weird way, I kind of wish we could just make this our permanent home. And while the stadium news isn't the only bit of news in terms of goings-on off the pitch, because we have raised our youth category rating from Category 2 to Category 1. That is the highest rating a youth system can have in the UK. We are on the verge of getting state-of-the-art youth facilities. They are going to be completed in 2 months' time, and with that, I think our facilities are going to be maxed out. Now, of course, today we are back for a transfer special. I hope you've been able to catch up on the series over the last few episodes, because they have been really good ones, and I fully appreciate, because this video has transfer special on the thumbnail, more people click on it, more people engage with it, more people watch the video, and lots of people who didn't see how the last season played out are just here now thinking, I don't know what's happening, I'm just here for signings. If that's you, fair enough, we've got £30 million to spend and a whole load of wage budget, and I will catch you up on the league season really quickly. We ended up finishing 3rd in the league on goal difference behind Manchester United. For a long old time in this season, we were in kind of the top 2 and even top dog with a few games left, but we did bottle it, and of course we did also go on to bottle the FA Cup semi-final and lose to Real Madrid in the Champions League semi-final. They are yet to play the final against Liverpool. I think this is going to be a hate watch against Liverpool, and I want to see Real Madrid win. Now, at the end of last episode, we did do a little bit of a squad rundown and outline some planning, and there were 3 positions that I kind of wanted to try and address. A new defensive midfielder, a real creative force in the team, a new central player for at the heart of our defence, and a new left winger. One of those 3 positions I think I have a plan for. And the reason I think he's the solution to our problem is kind of simple. Of all the players I've got scouted, he is the one with the highest current ability, and it also has higher potential ability. Talal Siddiq, playing for Al Ahly, has a £29 million release clause. That fits very snugly inside my current transfer budget. I'm going to submit an offer and get this one going early. I kind of fear that if I don't try and sign him now, there's going to be a queue of other teams interested in him. If there is an issue with Siddiq, it would be the fact he can only play left mid and left attacking mid and not left wing back or left back. That versatility to have a player who can play deeper is something we've used a lot this year. But actually, more often than not, when we have been looking to move the wider players deeper, it has been when we're defending in the lead. And I feel like Siddiq, with his creativity, is not really the player you have on the pitch to do the defending. And I feel like Borderlass is the kind of man that we can just sub on if we need to do that inside the last, 20 to 30 minutes to see out a result. This guy was great this year. There is currently some interest in Sassy as well, or at least there was some interest. Please tell me the interest hasn't just gone. Okay, well, it's just gone. Well, that's annoying, isn't it? Talked about it last episode, but I feel like Sassy is a bit of a jack of all trades, master of nothing except being physical, and actually having a more defensive option on the bench and a more attacking option in the team for that left side probably is just a good long-term goal. If we do sell him, it is going to be a little bit bittersweet, but I have a sneaking suspicion we're going to make a small profit on the £28,000 we paid for him. You can see, though, the last couple of years he has slowed down a little bit. Okay, I asked his agent if he can get some offers going. Apparently, he can get some offers going. £29 million. Or, you know what, in that case, let's get Al Ettifaq making a bid. Now, it is worth noting it is still only the 20th of May. I'm going to get through the first few weeks of pre-season rather promptly. If there's any big beats to talk about and big bits of news, we'll come back for those. Who knows? When I'm returning, maybe we'll have a new left attacking mid. Okay, I have managed to get the ball rolling on the Siddiq deal, and in fact, he's agreed to join us. This is massive. The transfer window is not open. It's only the 26th of May. He has agreed to a contract rather promptly. Probably is because I'm offering to pay him £100,000 a week, which I think is going to make him the new highest earner at the club. But this guy is 20 years old, and in terms of just raw creativity as a winger, he is absolutely insane. I feel like he is going to be such a monumental upgrade in that wider area, particularly from an attacking point of view. This might be a little bit of a gamble. I'm just going to click adjust budgets, and hopefully, well, I say hopefully he's going to sign for us. He has signed for us now, hasn't he? Yeah, he won't join us until the window opens, mind you, which is a little way away. That deal is going to eat up all of our transfer budget. There is some silver lining kind of news, I suppose. Sassy Al Ettifaq made that £29 million offer. Literally means that Siddiq is coming in for £29 million and Sassy's moving on. So it's basically a swap. And I think when you look at these players side by side, you can kind of see where we are at here. Sadiq is a significantly better player going forward, and I think that is something that we lacked sometimes out on the left-hand side. Definitely not as good from a defensive point of view, so maybe that's something to be wary of, but I think we can make it work. And I feel like this is a logical step as we look to make that jump forward. Did also get a bid off Ryu. There are a few players in the team I'm definitely open to selling. Ryu is maybe one of the players where if the bid was right, I would consider it. Considering his minimum kind of estimated price is £46 million, naturally, this bid of £23 million ain't gonna work. I was hoping the Leipzig might be up for negotiations. Nope, they've got it locked in at that amount. I mean, they can do one. Sadiq was a name that we had looked at, I think, in a few previous seasons, and I'd aired away from him, but we've managed to get that one done early, and I will apologise for the fact that I've just kind of rushed into it. I don't know, I was shocked that no one had gone in for him sooner, so we had to get that one done. Just in terms of the commercial summary at the end of the season here, you can see the sponsorship money is slowly but surely creeping up. Only a few years ago, this was barely, I think, £5 million, so a lot has changed. And Laudrup is the highest selling shirt, then it's Victor, then it's Osorio Silva and Ryu. And speaking of Osorio Silva and Ryu, saying their names aloud has just reminded me, as we discussed last episode, they've still got these really annoying release clauses. I mean, £65 million for Osorio Silva would be a bargain, I think, for someone. So I'm going to try and get him signed to a new deal. Victor's only actually got 3 years left on his current deal, and his contract doesn't really reflect the player that he's become. He's got a release clause of £88 million. I'm kind of scared that someone would trigger that because he really does look like he's going to be a world-class player, still tipped to have a load of potential and just continuing to improve. And he's only 19. I'm going to go and get those contracts sorted out. I'm going to hope that we can sort them out before the 1st of June because there might be some free players to look at then, of course, with contracts expiring. And then not long later, the transfer window is going to open and things are probably going to be in full swing. Bow your head, moment of silence, Sassy is leaving for that £29 million bid. I kind of suspected he would be. He's only on £40,000 for us. The Saudi teams can play a little bit more than that. I feel like I am going to miss this guy, but he probably was holding us back over the last couple of years. Suarez is a man who I'm definitely open to selling. We did actually get a bid for him from Freiburg. It was a kind of insulting bid, really. He's got a valuation of 38 to 42 million pounds. I do question, as the transfer window kind of rumbles on, maybe we'll get a more significant bid because there is some interest in him for sure. He's a good player, the 26-year-old, but I don't know. I feel like we can do better. I mean, he played 24 games for us this year. He didn't exactly shine. And yeah, if we could get anywhere near 40 million, it'd probably make sense to let him go. Now, in terms of players not going anywhere, Rodrigue Nana has agreed a new 5-year deal to the club. And in fact, it's a contract extension of 3 years nestled in it too. So it's basically an 8-year contract for the homegrown at club goalie. And amazingly, he's agreed to be a backup. Obviously, he'd been unhappy with his lack of first-team football. I guess over the last 6 months, he's kind of realised that behind Minambrez, he is always just going to be that plan B. But yeah, to get a new contract signed for this guy, no release clause, very cheap, 8-year deal, might be the best deal we do all window. And just speaking of new contracts, Osorio Silva and Victor have both signed new deals. Silva only signing for £85,000. It makes him one of the highest earners, but I still think that's a bargain. As for Victor, his old wages were £28,000. It's not £28,000. Now, I can tell you that as a matter of fact, it is... Oh, I've just remembered. It's a contract that kicks in at the end of the season. Can I see the new contract? It literally kicks in at the end of this month. This is his old contract. Football Manager, when will Football Manager just work properly? You'll have to take my word for it. I can't remember exactly how much he's going to be on, but it's a contract that kicks in on the 1st of July. I think it's around £80,000 or £90,000 a week, but it might be more than that. It was a lot, but there's no release clause, which was a really big kind of focus of the negotiations. Whilst it's nice to arguably get our best 2 players onto new contracts that don't have release clauses, the downside of those new deals is it's eating up a lot of the surplus wage budget. Now that Sassy's left, we're kind of left with the same transfer budget we had at the start of the window, but in terms of wages, it's not looking great. I had some inbox items regarding possible signings. Apparently, Alejandro Minabrez is wanted by PSG for 35 million. And despite the fact he's just signed a new deal, Victor is apparently wanted by Leipzig. They are 2 players that I don't intend to sell. But when I do sort players by kind of value, obviously I've been looking at players I might want to move on. I mentioned Suarez already as a player that we could look to move on. Similar with Ryu as well. These are 2 players that we picked up for under £20 million each. Given their valuations are double that, and they're now sub-options, kind of if we if we could get any kind of money for them, it would be nice. And I do feel like we're in a position right now where we need to sell players to spend money, and I think Simon is another man who I might look to move on. Apparently there's some interest from PSG in him, valued at 33 to 39 million pounds. Obviously he's just turned 30 now. I am a little bit concerned that over the next few years his pace is going to start to drop off. He's not exactly the most athletic player already anyway. I don't think his valuation is going to be higher than this, and whilst he has been a fairly loyal servant over the last 2 years, he has just been more of a backup this season. Zidane, by the way, won the Young Player of the Season in the Champions League, and he was also named in the Media Dream 11 alongside basically Real Madrid's team. Real Madrid, if you're wondering, did go on to win the Champions League. They beat Liverpool 1-0 in the final, kind of against the run of play, mind you. Now, I have been reflecting on the end of last season, because to be honest, we fell off a cliff, we didn't look good enough, and actually one of our biggest issues, I think, for the season just gone was just a lack of possession. And whilst this is a system that is kind of set up to be foundationally and defensively strong, I do want to find a little bit more of a balance where there are going to be games now, I suspect, where teams are going to set up defensively against us. For the last few years, we've maybe benefited from the fact we don't have the best reputation in the world. In fact, if we look at clubs in England, you can see we still only actually have a national reputation, but I do suspect over the next 12 months it's going to continue to creep upwards, and with that and the overall quality of our team getting better, teams are going to play more defensively. I think we're going to need to have more of the ball and actually try and break teams down ourselves. So there are a couple of things I've been thinking about. I am thinking for this coming year about trying out the new overlapping centre-back role, because I feel like it kind of makes sense with the players that we've got. Admittedly, Nguashi's not got the best crossing in the world, but actually, as a player from an athletic point of view and also a kind of ball-carrying point of view, I feel like he can do a job as an overlapping centre-back for us. I was kind of looking at things here. Maybe the off-the-ball movement is lacking, but in terms of the physicals, he ticks all the boxes. And I think Gromman actually on the other side is perhaps an even better fit for that position. Of course, he started his career as a left-back. He's now moved into this centre-back position, which I definitely think plays to his strength. Obviously, there are a couple of attributes within the overlapping centre-back role that are only 9s and 8s here, but it is the kind of role that is just so demanding and so kind of, the requirements for it are out of this world. You're never really going to find a player that ticks every box, I feel like, for the overlapping centre-back role. Gromman is a pretty darn good fit in my view. My thinking obviously here is that when we have the ball and we get the ball forward, they can make some forward runs and just help support the midfield a little bit more. There were definitely times last year where we did get a little bit outnumbered in that part of the pitch. On top of that, I am thinking for this coming year we might try out a positive mentality more often than balanced, just to try and maybe commit players up the pitch, but also just look to take hold of games more. They're not the only changes though. I've really liked the attacking midfielder in this system, and I'm weighing up if we should try using 2 attacking midfielders this year. This is not something I would normally recommend, but because we have got a defensive midfielder in behind, I think it's something that we can afford to do. And I think what it'll also mean is that when we do initially lose possession, whilst the attacking midfielders are set to just be centre mids, there will be this initial period of play where they will look to press, and having both committed up the pitch, maybe it can help us win the ball slightly higher up the field. I feel like people get a little bit confused by the regroup defensive transition because it just sounds like everyone runs back, but actually if you mouse over it kind of explains here. The team will look to fall back into a defensive shape as soon as possible in the immediate moments after possession is lost, but players near the ball carrier will look to slow them down, and I think this is where the attacking midfielders could actually work quite nicely to help us either buy time to get players back, but also just maybe win the ball high up the pitch and do well. The only other out of possession instruction I'm really looking at changing right now is our defensive line behaviour to be step up more. I feel like we made the job easy for teams last season a little bit on occasion by just sitting deep and giving them a bit too much space and respect in the midfield. Generally speaking, our centre-backs are pretty quick anyway, so if they do need to try and track back, they're going to be able to. But I do feel like with our overall level of play now, it's significantly better. We can maybe try some of these slightly more risky and demanding instructions, and with them stepping up, it's going to compress that space between the midfield and the defence, and really, I think, give us better chances to win the ball sooner. I did mention earlier as well about Victor and Silva and how they are basically our best 2 players, and I think that is kind of a really true thing. What I will say about these 2 players is they've got great passing and great kind of general ability, but from a defensive point of view, they're not the best, so the more that we can have the ball and get them on the ball is probably better for our overall game. We have this super technical team that's really good with their ball at the feet. Loads of players with great passing, great first touch. So I want to try playing with a much higher tempo. I feel like playing that positive mentality with a higher tempo is just going to maybe allow us to move the ball more freely and create stuff. In conjunction with that, I am going to ask the team to play narrower. The thinking there really being that we can make the middle of the pitch congested, and that's going to force players like Osorio Silva, Victor, and whoever our defensive midfielder is way more onto the ball. I'm still going to ask for the wingers to stay wider, but I really kind of want to compact the centre of the pitch and create just nice, easy passing lanes to work the ball nicely and hopefully play some really pretty football. Now, I will say I have still got the look for underlap instruction on, and obviously the way in which that instruction works in Football Manager is it encourages wider players to dwell on the ball and hold up the play for players on the underlap to make stuff happen. I don't know how that's going to work with the overlapping centre-backs. It's going to be a bit of an experiment, that one. But if they do look to make some underlaps and maybe fill in the space behind the attacking midfielder, should, say, Ruiz have the ball out on the right-hand side, I think that could actually work really nicely. Now, over the last couple of years, I have been using the hold-up ball instruction with the cut-inside instruction on the wingers, but we are going to add this stay wider additional instruction now, just to balance out with the newly introduced team much narrower instruction. In terms of these two instructions, hold up the ball is really just to help with the underlaps that we have going on. And on top of that, I don't really want the players dribbling with the ball too much. It's also why I've got them set to cut inside with ball. Of course, when you have a wide player who runs kind of down the wing, they're often going to be supported by a player making a run obviously beyond them or in front of them. But with our system, we only play with the lone wide players. So if I have them set to stay dribble wide with the ball or stay wide with the ball and not hold it up, they're just going to run into the corners of the pitch on attack. And there's not really an obvious player to come in and support them. So the logic behind having the hold-up ball instruction and the cut-inside instruction is basically to minimise the times where they'll get into the corner of the opposition's kind of pitch and then just not really have a player in support to pass to. Now, whether or not the overlapping centre-backs offer that little bit of support remains to be seen. I definitely think this is something we're just going to tinker with as the season goes on, but I've really liked the 3-5-2 that we've been running. I'm just looking at ways we can maybe optimise it as the approach teams have against us changes, but also to just try and remedy some of the stuff we saw at the end of the season especially. Anyway, that's the tactical chat for today's episode. If you've got any thoughts on my changes, you can let me know. But yeah, I've not used the overlapping centre-backs. I think it should be a fun little experiment. I feel like actually our system right now is perhaps a really good opportunity to see how they work. It could be a disaster, it could go amazing, but look, here were our fixtures to end the season just gone. It can't go worse than this. Right, you know what? I'm going to try and offer out some players like Ryu, Simon and Suarez and try and see if we can get any interest, because to be honest, before I look at signing players, I would love to try and increase our budgets a little so I can go for bigger budget players. We are now a team that qualified for the Champions League on the regular. We've just made it to the Champions League semi-final. To sign players of the quality that I need that are going to immediately contribute, I'm definitely going to need more than £28 million. Well, I've given it a week, and there is not a lot of interest in our players right now. I've offered out some players. No one's making bids. I will probably just continue to spam out offers out on the players and see if we get any. I need to get some, but at the same time, I don't want to wait too long to start actually looking at what's in the market. I'm kind of looking at the 30 million here, thinking if we use installments, maybe we can sign someone. Now, I do feel like the biggest focuses for us are a new centre-back and a new defensive midfielder. I feel like a new defensive midfielder might be more of a priority if I can get an offer for Suarez or Ryu. As for centre-back, I would love to just get in a top-quality centre-back. But whether or not I can kind of find one who I could afford, I guess, is a slightly different proposition. Like, someone like Remy Devers here is actually rated very highly by our staff, and he's kind of got, you know, a fair amount of interest in him. But I look at the 23-year-old, and I don't really feel like he's better than Jimenez. There is a world where if I don't get a centre-back option, or I just don't feel like my budget stretches to the one that I want, that I would just play Jimenez maybe as the starting centre-back this year. I mean, you can see, compared to Remy, I think you can argue he is a slightly better player, maybe lacking in the physicals. At the same time, a lot of these kind of highly rated centre-backs are kind of on the older side of things, which kind of puts me off. I mean, Jose Martinez is an absolute baller. El Salvador international, Aguiar's best mate on international duty, I'm sure. The 25-year-old is a quality centre-back. He kind of looks like a better Jimenez. Has got some interest from various teams. I've already asked for my scouts to look at him a little more. The concern, I suppose, is that £54 million valuation, which is £54 million because that is his release clause. And if I want to sign him, I'd need to get all that money up front. I'm going to work on the assumption that they just won't do anything with installments and they're going to tell me to do one. But we can try and see what they say. Yeah, I mean, I can't sign him. I mean, I could sign him, but I would need to obviously get rid of some players, and right now that's proving difficult. Lenny Langerbayern, decent little centre-back, very, very good physicals, but I'm looking at this valuation, and I know that I just can't really afford him, and I'm not even sure if he's worth the money when I've already got Jimenez. Like, he's better than Jimenez, but is he £60 million worth paying better than Jimenez? I'm not sure he is. I'm coming around to the idea that I just play Jimenez in the centre of the team. Obviously, he's never going to be a good overlapping centre-back, but I'm always going to need that stay-at-home centre-back who's just sensible. I've got Grommen and Ngwashi kind of in the team right now. Of course, we've also got Oliver as one of our centre-back options. Like, am I going to get someone better than Oliver even? Like, this guy is my backup. I mean, he's so good. Like, if you compare Oliver against Lenny, I don't feel like there's a world of difference. I feel like obviously the technical advantage Lenny has, but these physicals are just absolutely elite. Grommen is an absolute lock, isn't he, at the left overlapping centre-back position. I am wondering that between Oliver and Ngwashi, like, am I choosing to play the right player? Well, you compare the two, Ngwashi is just a little bit better technically, which I guess for the overlapping centre-back might be kind of valuable. But then again, Oliver's got really good crossing. And these physicals are so good. I mean, you can see their performances this season. They're not really a world apart, of course. Ngwashi was playing as the wider centre-back, which just naturally in our system gets higher up the pitch. I feel like right now I'm talking myself out of signing another centre-back. I guess my concern is I've got £30 million right now, and I'm looking at defensive midfielder and centre-back. And of those two positions, I feel like centre-back is that one position where maybe we're okay. We've got Grommen, we've got Jimenez, we've got Oliver, we've got Ngwashi. I think those four competing for the free spots is fine. Obviously, in the case of Aguiar and also Ryu, they can technically play centre-back. I wouldn't want them playing centre-back in our team. It's not what they're here for. Suarez is an interesting one because he can play centre-back and he's pretty adapted well to play centre-back, but he's not the best player in the air. And with his valuation, I feel like I could maybe move him on and then maybe promote a centre-back from the youth team. Star ratings are always a little bit deceiving, aren't they? We've got Ndai, who I guess can maybe do a job as the fifth choice centre-back. He's 20 years old, can also play defensive mid or centre mid. There's Alejandro Silva, who I don't think is quite as good, and to be honest, I would really like to get a loan move sorted for. I think I'm going to offer him out for loan. And actually, speaking of loanees, Jonas Lachaud is a quality little player who's recently been called up to the French national team. The 20-year-old is on loan at Bristol City. They've just won the championship. And amongst a load of other players out on loan, here's one player who I'm offering out on loan to them again if they want him for their Premier League season. And he is going to get way more experience playing in the Premier League for Bristol City than he would for us. I think in a year or two, he could be a really good option in the centre-back area. I think I might ride it out with our current centre-backs. What I'm probably going to do is promote and die back to the first team. And then for Suarez here, who has got some interest still, I'm just going to offer him out and see if we can get any bids. Now, if I go with that plan, and that is kind of my line of thinking right now in terms of the centre-back area, suddenly defensive mid is what I need. I mean, one man who I have had a little eye on is Glinka. This guy's interesting. He plays for Cologne, German international. Really, really good player. I just don't know if he's good enough from a defensive point of view, out of possession. Obviously, I'm looking for someone to play as a deeper line playmaker, which is definitely something he could do. But I do kind of look at his tackling and positioning and get slightly worried. He's not particularly strong either. If I'm going to play with two attacking midfielders in the team that are playing as attacking mids, the kind of player playing at defensive midfielder not only needs to be creative, I need them to be pretty okay defensively too. It's one of the reasons why I don't really want to play Cardozo there. I think Cardozo this coming year is going to be more of a squad player. He probably will be the first choice to play at defensive mid or in the centre mid positions for us. I'm basically looking for a slightly better version of Ryu. I feel like Ryu is great from a defensive point of view and the level I want, but creativity-wise, I kind of wish he had a little bit more about him. I kind of wish he was a little bit quicker as well to play that screening defensive mid role. I think we'll put Glinka on the maybe pile, but he'd be great as an attacking mid or a centre mid with players in behind, but that's not the kind of position I need right now. I mean, there are some older players here like Mert Koma, but I mean, it's just not the level that I need. Jack Hinchelwood, he's just not it either, is he? I mean, he's not bad, is Hinchelwood, but he's not better than Ryu. You know what? I'm going to put an age cap here of 25. I feel like the defensive mid position is kind of a position where older players tend to feature. Maybe there's some other players here to take a look at. If I sort by value, maybe there's players here, although the players at the higher end of things here, I can't afford. Miguel Ferreira, I mean, he's not a bad little centre-back. He's not the defensive mid I need, is he? So many of these defensive midfielders are just kind of your more traditional centre-backs. Nardella is interesting. He is a centre mid who can play a defensive mid position. I feel like... I mean, he's pretty good, to be honest. I'm looking for something to nitpick about him. I guess maybe going forward he's not absolutely elite. As far as deep line playmakers go, he does tick a lot of boxes, but 50 to 61 million, and he's already on £100,000. I'll tell you what, I've just spotted a very familiar face. Vladimir Velikovic. Remember this guy? We had him on loan, didn't we? Once upon a time, and then AC Milan cancelled his loan, and it was very frustrating. I actually really liked this guy when we had him, and I still feel like he's pretty good now. He's really, really quick. 17 as an aggregate for his creativity, with 17 vision, 17 passing, and 17 flair is absolutely amazing. He's got some good ball-carrying ability as well. As a deep line playmaker, maybe not got the best tackling, but actually in terms of marking and positioning, he's got that down to a T. And I do feel like with his mentals, you know, good decision-making, good anticipation, and his pace and acceleration, he'd be really good at cutting out loose balls. You compare him against Glicker, a little bit quicker, slightly more creative, not as good as from an attacking point of view, perhaps. It's that finishing that lets down Vladimir. But he'd be playing as a defensive midfielder for us. And I'm looking at this value. If I could get him for the lower end of things, I'd be tempted. How does he compare against the lad from Inter, Nardella? Not as good defensively, not as good mentally, but it's the creativity, it's the physicals in terms of the pace. I really, really like it. I am also definitely being steered by the fact he's played for us before. I feel like there's a nice narrative there. He's maybe not quite as defensively sound as I would hope, but it is only the tackling that really lets him down. You compare him against Ryu here. He's a definite upgrade. He's only 23 as well. I've already asked for the scouts to look at him. As soon as he popped up, I was like, right click, scouts, click in, show me how good he is. I love the look of him. He wants to leave as well. He wants a new contract. Leipzig are interested. I think we should make a move. 35 to 53 million to sign him is steep. I could probably use installments though. His agent did mention release clauses. I'm going to hope that I can make him forget about release clauses and get them removed. I'm going to try 20 million up front, 20 million in 3 installments and see what they say. Okay, they want nearer 50 to 60 million. They asked for just shy of 60. I'm going to offer them 50. You know what? I think that's a fair amount, and they think it's a fair amount too. Am I going crazy? I feel like that's a really good buy for 50 million. But it could be the sentimentals. He's very, very interested in talking to us. We love that. He wants to play as a centre mid. I can't give you that promise, son. But all of this stuff I think is fine. He wants a yearly wage rise and a minimum release clause of 93 million. I mean, I have to remove and exclude those, but then I think I'm going to have to up these wages a little bit. Okay, he's asked for 90. I'm going to lower this down to 85. His agent says it's acceptable. I'm going to finalise this deal. I really like this at 50 million. It's not cheap. I like the sentimentals of it. I do also think there's just a lot of 17s and 16s in really important areas. Like, he is an absolutely kind of proper elite creative player. And they are hard to come by. I'm trying to remember. I think that fractured leg happened when he played for us. He's only had one minor injury since, so I don't think he's injury prone either. Now, if that deal goes through, I'm going to be over the wage budget. I will have £8 million free in the transfer budget to rejig. Definitely need to try and move on some players and probably also sort out some loans for players in the under-21s. There's a couple of players like Silver here and also David Addons where, I mean, they're both in their early 20s now. We're kind of hitting that do-or-die period. 2 players tipped out potential, current ability lacking. I need them to go away, get kind of regular football for a year and then really make a judgment on, are they ever going to be good enough? So I have had a bid of £45 million for Suarez. I've accepted that immediately. Thank you, West Ham. The only issue is his agent's indicated he probably doesn't want to go to them. I really, really want to get 45 million for Suarez. I'm going to offer him out to more teams, but it could be this year's burn. You know what? I'm going to make him transfer listed. I'm going to demote him down to the under-18s. I'm going to try and make him really unhappy so he leaves. This could backfire spectacularly. I did also offer out Simon. There's been no interest in him right now. He's also a bit unhappy that I'm forcing him out the team. I'm hoping that PSG maybe reinstate their interest because, yeah, I need to get money for him. Sefu is a player who I was hoping to get some money for. He's one of these young players that we took a punt on and it's not really worked out. We spent £1 million on him. There's a load of bids here. None of them match the £1 million I originally paid for him. I feel like asking for £1 million is probably asking for trouble. I'll ask for 800k. Swansea have matched that. I guess I'm now going to go through all these other teams and also ask for 800k. You know what? Marseille have just bid $1 million. I thought I'd push my luck. That's how much I paid for him. I'm going to accept that one. And I'm kind of going to work on the assumption that no one else would pay the £1 million. I don't think it's worth all the clicks to try and get a few extra tens of thousands of pounds. We have had some loan offers for Silva and for Addons. In Silva's case, only squad player status for Millwall. They finished 18th in the Championship. I feel like he could force his way into the first team. The alternative move is to St. Johnson as a regular starter. They were actually offering to pay more of his wages. I'm kind of tempted to accept both here and just let the player decide. And David Addons has had a load of interest here from him, from a load of different clubs. I think the team I'm leaning towards loaning him to is actually Stoke City. And if you're wondering, Jack, why Stoke City? I feel like they might be becoming an unofficial kind of feeder club for us. They won League One last year, and we loaned to them Branko Stamenkovic. He has had an updated face, by the way. I've updated some of the young player faces that were duplicates in our team. I found a way to make it work. This guy's the guy from Montenegro who was wanted by Man City and a few other teams. We threw some silly wages at him. He has single-handedly got them promoted. Okay, maybe single-handedly stretching it, but he's got 16 goals in their promotion campaign. He's going back on loan to Stoke next year. I feel like with him and David Addons, they could already cement themselves as a solid Championship team. I did try and force loans out for our two youngsters that we signed from Norwich last season to Chester, our affiliate. Unfortunately, Chester is still stuck in League 2, and Mark May didn't want to go to League 2. Which is probably fair enough. He's probably a bit too good for that. And it was a similar story with Justin Wright. Again, another one of the youngsters that we signed from Norwich for £6 million. I need this guy to be a success. I really want to make sure we get the right moves for him. Loads and loads of potential. Admittedly, he has been improving a lot too. I think actually of all the players in our youth team, May and Wright are perhaps two of the players I'm most excited about. And also Jay McBeam. Of course, this guy came through our youth intake, you might remember. He's already showing some real signs of promise. With Vladimir, by the way, we're waiting on a work permit. So this signing is just about done. I've not really got any hesitation about pulling the trigger on this one. I guess what would make me even more assured of that decision would be if I could get the £45 million for Suarez. The fact that he's told me that he doesn't want to go to West Ham is maybe a little bit of a concern. Okay, Vladimir, deal confirmed. £14 million will be paid to Vladimir's original club that play in Bosnia. Imagine being them. You're just getting £14 million from out of absolutely nowhere. It is going to be £20 million off our transfer budget because of the instalments. I think I'm going to pull the trigger on this one. I love this boy. The scouts have had a look at him. They're saying A+. Relishes big matches, fairly consistent, just an overall top quality player, and apparently world-class potential with room to still grow. You know what, at 23, maybe I can't expect him to grow too much, but let's confirm this deal right here and now. Welcome back, Vladimir. I don't think we had an option to sign him permanently last time. In fact, I think when I loaned him last time before AC Milan cancelled the loan, we had an option to buy him for more than the amount I've just paid for him there. So Deacon Vladimir will be joining us when the window opens in 3 days. I realise I've been trying to sell a few different players. Maybe wait until the transfer window's open will lead to there being a bit more interest in them. David Addons, loan confirmed with Stoke. We love that. We have risen up the national rankings as well in Europe. We're now 68th in the European club rankings. And in terms of homegrown at club players, we've got Nana, we've got Garcia, we've got Jimenez, and Gromman is about to become homegrown at club as well. He has now been at the club for 3 years. That's massive. Of all the players that might be leaving at this window, I don't think Claudio Ruiz is one of them. The right midfielder was one of our better players this year. Apparently there's a transfer saga emerging. People are going to have to pay a little more than this valuation for me to consider shifting him on. We picked him up for £15 million 2 years ago, and he has been so consistent over the last 2 years. Oh no, the transfer window's opened and I can see there's just a load of bids on players. Promise Karim is a player who I was told had loads of potential, and I threw quite a lot of money at the Englishman to sign him up from Newcastle. I'll be honest, I don't think he developed last year, and now Villa have made a bid. Kind of tempted to sell him. I signed him for £4 million. I'll tell you what, if I can get £6 million for him at a 50% sell-on, I look like a genius. You know what? We're going with that right now. Did also get a bid for Luis Garcia. Of course, we signed him last year to be our emergency backup winger. We got him on a free from Chelsea. Didn't work work out for him. He's not been very good. In a weird way, if I needed a third choice right mid option now, I would probably be inclined to just throw Mark May into the first team and give him a chance. I'm not going to pretend he's on the same level as Luis Garcia, but he's 6 years younger than 18-year-old. I think he has a really bright future and could play a role in the squad if needed. It makes this bid of 10.5 million feel like a little bit of a no-brainer, really. And elsewhere, Milan have made a bid for Claudio Ruiz, the right mid / right back. I know they've got a lot more money than that because I've just given them a lot more money than that. They're offering me £46 million for him. I want 80 million. Take it or leave it. They've not immediately told me to do one. How about 40 million now and 40 million in a year's time? That seems fair to me. They don't think that's fair. They've come in with a bid guaranteed 50 million, potentially worth 60. I might live to regret it. I'm rejecting that offer. Our 2 new signings have arrived, by the way. I'm not sure. Why is Vladimir being given an F? Why has he been given an F? Who hates Vladimir at our club and why? The board are very disappointed with my deal to sign him. Why are they disappointed with the signing? The supporters think that we've signed a great player. I mean, I love their attitude. Why do the board not like Vlad? Let's put in Sadiq out on the left-hand side. Let's put in Vlad back in the heart of the team at deep line playmaker. I mean, that looks like a really good team. I do wonder, if a team wants to bid, say, £60 million for Ruiz all up front, would I be tempted to sell him? And if I was to sell him, would I look for a similar kind of more defensively sound wide player? Or would I maybe go down the route of someone like Sadiq, where I look for kind of a more attacking right mid option? And I kind of just trust the defence to do the defending at the expense of hopefully scoring a few more goals with more attacking talent in the wide area. Ruiz got 10 assists in the league the last couple of years. If you had a player with more than 11 passing, would it lead to more assists? Those 2 signings we've made, by the way, costing me £79 million. That's a lot of money. We are also massively over the wage budget. So you know what? Let's just sort out the budgets real quick so we're back. I was going to say under budget, but actually we're not even under budget if I get rid of all the transfer budget. Maybe that's a reflection of how the wages at the club are just starting to kind of scale up a little bit. I mean, our highest earner is still only earning £100,000, which for a Premier League team is pretty normal. If I look at Leicester, who finished 15th in the league last year, they've got 4 players on more than £100,000. Like, our wage kind of structure is very, very kind of tightly controlled, really. Okay, Silva is going to be joining Millwall as well. He would rather play in the Championship as a more backup player. I suspect, to be honest, he could force his way into first-team contention. And I feel like at this point, I need to try and get some sales done. I need to get Suarez out. Apparently there is some interest in him from Marseille. You know what? I mean, transfer windows are opening around the world. Let's offer out all the players that I already didn't get bids on that I'm needing to get rid of. Suarez is on his way out. Hopefully we can get some interest in Simon as well. Intermediaries have informed me that there's interest, but the asking price is too high. Apparently Bournemouth are interested in him as well. There is definitely interest in Simon. Whether or not we're going to get 36 million remains to be seen. I'm going to transfer list him and offer him out for an unspecified amount. Just do a little bit of fishing and see if we can get some interest. Let's do a bit of sorting the first team here. Garcia's on his way out. Sassi's already agreed to leave. He's just waiting for the Saudi transfer window to open. Blake Pearce is another player I'm not necessarily against selling. Bit annoying that his valuations dropped so much. He did suffer a back injury. I think it was a fractured lower back at the end of the season. I wonder if that's tanked his value a little. There is part of me just tempted to offer out Claudio Ruiz here for an unspecified amount. I don't want to get rid of him. I'm just, I'm curious what kind of bid we can maybe get. I feel like we're going to be wrapping up this episode rather soon, but what happens next episode is going to hinge basically on what money can I get for players. Because in an ideal world, I'd like to make a few sales and then maybe sign 1 or 2 starters. But if I'm struggling to get anything done, tomorrow might be tail end of the transfer window, and then we go into the first game of the season. Milan made an offer for Claudio Ruiz of 46 million. They've offered it all up front. It's not enough. It's not enough. It's 70 million and we have a deal. I'm being greedy here, but let me be greedy. 70 million, they've offered 50. I'm going to ask for 67. They've offered 55. Why am I tempted by that? I mean, we're letting Sefu go for 800k. We've just had Luiz leave for 10 million as well. I guess the question is, could I get a top quality right midfielder for like 60 million? And I kind of suspect I might be setting myself a rather difficult task. I mean, Jez de Haan here is an Utrecht player who's 19 with 6 caps for the Netherlands already. I mean, he looks unreal. We'll get a scout report. He's a little out the budget. And to be honest, because I've not really been looking at right mid options, I've not got many players scouted here. So let's just scout all of these lot. I remember there being I think it was an Australian bloke who was playing for Olympiacos. I can't remember his name. I think it's this guy. Is it Ryan Oldaker? Yeah, he is a right attacking mid. He can't actually play regular right mid. He is kind of the kind of right midfielder option I'd like. He's £22 million, but he literally can't play the position I need him to play. Leading Premier League quality player, super consistent, might have issues with injuries though. He has had quite a lot of injuries. There's a few too many major injuries there even for me. I'm going to scout a load of these right midfielder options. There are like a few players here who look quite good. Badiola, not one of them. I'm still negotiating with Milan, by the way. I'm going to ask for 70. I know I asked for less than that before. We're going to having the same conversation again. I asked for £67 million last time. I'm going to ask for 63 this time. They've bid it. I like Claudio Ruiz. I don't think he's £63 million good. Obviously, he's the ideal player for how we play, but there's got to be a better option out there for that money. Kadzia, they've also declared interest in Manuel Suarez. I say Suarez, I'm pretty sure it said Suarez. If they want to make a bid, that would be lovely, because I'm a bit scared he's going to turn down West Ham's £45 million. Or maybe he will go to West Ham. I got told he wasn't going to join, so I didn't even show the negotiations with them, because I thought it would just break down. He's set to join them. That is £43 million. Okay, you know what? We might be back. If Ruiz leaves for 63 million, how much money am I going to have to spend? You know what I said before about maybe not having the money to improve the team? I would like to rescind that. I think we're going to have over £100 million for part 2 of the transfer special this summer. Bournemouth have made an offer to loan Bouabre. They want a £28 million optional fee as well. Can you just buy him for £28 million up front? Like, that would be a much better deal for me. And like Simon, I don't really want to loan him to another team. They don't have the 28 million. Interesting. All right, you know what? We'll offer Simon out for 30 million. I think that's below the previously stated asking price. Also, did I select 20 million there? I thought I selected 30. I misclicked. Oh, I did select 30. Why did the valuation drop to 20? Sometimes you ask these questions, then you remember FM26. And it all makes sense. Nice have made a non-negotiable offer of 30 million for Simon. Take him. He can go. I'll tell you what, I realise if I sell Ruiz on the right-hand side, having also sold Sassy, I'm taking a bit of a gamble this year, aren't I? I'm selling 2, not proven wide players, but 2 players that we know have done the business for us before. And I'm kind of taking the team in a new direction. You can let me know down in the comments what you think of the dealing so far. I feel like in terms of the new left mid option and in terms of the new CDM, we've improved the team a lot. And whilst we're not in a situation where we have to sell players, £45 million for Suarez, £30 million for Simon, and £63 million for Claudio Ruiz, it just feels like too much to turn down. I've been asked to set my expectations for the season. For the league, I can only select mid-table finish. I feel like we could do better than that, but I guess I'm just going to go with that. I'll say as well, we're going to reach the first knockout round of the Champions League. It barely gives me any increase in wages, but I'm going to just state our intentions. The board would like to discuss potential affiliations. How would you feel if we were to begin to look for an affiliate club? Oh, I would love a team to be able to loan players to them in a more controlled environment. I would love to get an affiliate club that's maybe in League One or the Championship. As nice as Chester are as an affiliate club, the issue is they're in League 2 and a lot of my better young players don't want to go to them. I'll tell you what, can I recommend Stoke, please? I would like Stoke. Also, Premier League signing of the season, it went to Shrek. £132 million for Shrek. And he got 14 assists and 11 goals, which is wild. None of our players in the list for signing of the year. Daniel, by the way, the £200 million man, also appeared in the list. I didn't think he had that good of a season. I feel like for £200 million, you want more than 11 goals and 9 assists. But maybe that's just me. Now, the season rollover date has happened. Our first game of the season is against Manchester United. A Manchester United team who finished second ahead of us in third by 1 goal last season. And also a Manchester United team that have Graham Byrne at their kind of team. By the way, he's loan listed. They don't assure him that he can get the playing time he wants. If you're wondering, how did he do after you exchanged him? 0 goals in 7 games. Did he even score for them last season? No. He only made 7 appearances off the bench. He's now worth 8 to 12 million. I think we got a great deal. Granted, that infamous swap deal maybe hinges on Jack Phillips continuing to develop, but I mean, I'll be honest, in the last 6 months, he's improved a lot. Like, this guy's going to be legit. I think it's a great deal. I was mocked in the comments. Jack Phillips is going to be a baller this year. If I compare the two of them now, Phillips clear. Granted, I did, swap Phillips with Burn and give Manchester United 40 million. But he's 20, loads of potential. He's going to keep getting better. Okay, Promise Karim is leaving the club to go to Aston Villa for 6 million. I'm shocked that we've not made a loss on him, really. I signed him for 4 million last summer. He did not improve at all. I mentioned Victor's new contract, didn't I, that he'd signed? It's just kicked in at the end of the season. No release clause, £105,000 a week. And also, Grommen has signed a new deal at the club. He wanted a release clause, but it is 128 million. I'm not even sure if I'd sell him for 128 million now he's about to be homegrown at club. I mean, obviously, I wouldn't have a choice. Maybe down the line, I need to get rid of that release clause. Kakayo feels like he's underpaid. And also, you might have noticed I have updated Kakayo's face a little bit. To be fair, he probably is underpaid on £30,000, isn't he, really? It's almost a fair point. If I discuss with his agent, how much does he want? 69 to £84,000. That's way too much. 59 to 72. Oh, the wage structure of the club is going to take a bit of a hammering, I think, now it's starting to creep up. I'm going to tell him he's got plenty of time remaining on his current deal. He thinks that's reasonable. He's only got 2 years left, but I'm glad he's given me that response. At this point, I want to find out, is Ruiz leaving? Is Simon leaving? And then we can leave things for today, and I can panic about how I'm going to spend the money tomorrow. Morten Laudrup also thinks that he's underpaid. Morten Laudrup's also got 3 years left on his deal. Should we just try the same response again? You've got time on your current deal. He says, fair enough. I can't believe that I'm just talking these players out of these negotiations. I mean, Laudrup was our best striker last year. I have little to no doubt that he would ask for a massive pay rise when I eventually do have to give him a new deal. Okay, £30 million to Simon is big. Admittedly, he is going to pocket 5 million of it, but even for 25 million, I think is a pretty good sale. The 30-year-old, he is going to start to decline, I think, and yeah, I think we need to move on from him. I mean, I don't want to get too ahead of ourselves. We've currently got £84 million to spend before the Ruiz deal happens. We're going to have a pretty good kind of pick of various right attacking mid options, aren't we, tomorrow? Of course, working on the assumption Ruiz is going to end up going on the move, and it's been ruined. He's turned down Milan. Why? He just rejected the contract. No further context needed. Liverpool have made an offer for Mark May. I'm turning down this because I think Mark is absolutely quality. Like, I want Marky Boy in the team. I might even give him minutes this coming year. The fact that this man has refused the move, on the one hand, is a bit annoying because I was kind of planning for life without him. On the other hand, because of all the sales we've made, we've basically got £80 million to pick any positions that we want to try and improve. Centre-back might be the area we go in for after all. Admittedly, we might need to rejig the budget slightly so we're not massively over budget, but even when I set things up like that, I think we can have some fun tomorrow. Really hope you enjoyed today's transfer special. We have got a load of money to spend. I will leave things today by just showing you the updated season preview. Where are we predicted to finish this year? 11th. 11th. I don't even know what to say. I'm shocked. When I end things tomorrow, we'll be higher than 11th. That's a promise. Let's make some signings. I'll see you tomorrow for them. It is me, Jack, and I'll talk to you guys in a bit. I'm out.